See you in 3 days.
Okay, goodbye.
Thanks for the ride. No turning back now. Mine Gulch, 4.5. Bad Pal, this is Bad Pal up there. Mine Gulch is where I'm heading. That's the north end of the East Fork. 4.5 miles. Drop down into the canyon. Road forks right here. That way goes to an old mine. This way goes down to Mine Gulch. 4.5 miles this way, you reach the top of the East Fork Canyon. In this video, my girlfriend dropped me off the East Fork San Gabriel River by the fire station. She then drove me 87 miles down, around 210 to the 15 to the 138 to the 2 to the back side of the mountain and the Crest Highway, just below the Pacific Crest Trail, which runs along that ridge. She drove me 87 miles and dropped me off. Over the next 2 or 3 days, I'm going to make my way down and show you some forgotten campsites, some old mines, things rarely seen. I've searched and not found videos on some of the things I'm going to look for. And I'm going to do so while living the next 2 or 3 days out of a survival tin, one made by the BBC. It's really cool. I have a video on it. It was given to me a friend of mine, Colin, from Colin Outdoors. He does reviews on items and how to do things. He's got a really cool channel. If you haven't seen his videos, check him out, Colin Outdoors. Anyway, he sent me the video and I told him that one of these days I was going to do a 2 or 3 day living out of it. I've got no pack, no food, no water, no tent, no shelter, no change of clothes, nothing except what's in the BBC survival tin. I have a video on the BBC survival tin so you can see what's in it, but I'll give you a look inside a little later. But that's my plan, and there is no plan B. Girlfriend dropped me off there. My car's parked a good 15, 20 miles down this path. During this hike, I've read there's almost a 1 mile decrease in elevation from the beginning where the Crest Highway is down to the south end of the East Fork. It starts off with some big pines and spruces and ends up with a few sparsely spread out oaks and really dry. But it also said the temperature can alter in 1 day's time, and during the same day, during the same time, 60 degrees from top to bottom, as much as 60 degrees. So there's a big change in altitude, a big change in climate. It's starting to open up here. I've got to work my way down these switchbacks. That riverbed there, that's one of the feeders that goes in and starts the East Fork. You got to go into that thick foliage of trees down there, and around that corner is Mine Gulch. I really wasn't too keen on doing this particular hike alone, especially no shelter of any kind, other than, oh, I did bring one thing other than besides the kit, a couple things actually. I brought 2 of those glow sticks just in case I need to find my way out, in case I get bit by a snake or something. I need to find my way out and I need to hike through the night. The little light they give you inside there would not last the distance for me to get out. And I brought one of those heat sheets to build a shelter with. The rattlesnakes found in this part of California, between here and Santa Monica Mountains and all over San Bernardino, they are the South Pacific breed of rattlesnake. They're really non-aggressive. As you saw in my last video, I was able to pick one up, pet him, give him a kiss, and let him go. He struck once, but he was provoked to strike. I put a stick in front of his face so he could strike, so I could come up behind him and grab him. it's the babies you need to look out for. Not because myth says because their poison is more deadly, but because they're not as smart. They don't know they need to preserve their poison for killing their next meal. So they will inject it all into you, giving you a lethal dose. Whereas the bigger ones just give you enough so they can get away. They know they need that to eat later on. Now, you can tell this particular rattlesnake, it has a real skinny neck, and the head is kind of heart-shaped, almost like a diamond. Not a diamondback rattlesnake. The head almost like a diamond, or an arrowhead. And it's got some deep pits by its eyes. If you're that close though, you're too close. And the amount of rattles, contrary to what people say and believe, that does not tell their age. That's how many times they've shed their skin. So it's all according to where they eat, how plentiful their meals are, how often they eat. Every time they eat and they grow, they need to shed their skin. Not every time they eat, but every time they grow, they need to shed their skin. And thus they grow another rattle. So they get to about 5 feet. Any bigger than that is really rare. I've done all the proper things, notified friends when I'll be contacting them, where my car will be parked, my route, it's all laid out, where I'm going to spend night 1, where I'm going to spend night 2, possibly night 3, where I'm going to come out, and what time if I don't call. I've left the gateway to the Angeles Ranger Station number. They can report me overdue. And I've also gone to the Baldy Ranger Station and told them my intentions, where I had to get a permit for hiking through Sheep Mountain area. When you cross county lines, you have to apply for a permit so they know who is in there. For your protection, as well as if a fire starts, they know who to come to, who to question. So I've done everything you're supposed to. Now it's just getting out. Here's another one coming from up by the highway. Up there, the two coming down and leading into it. That's how most rivers start. Just a small trickle here, a small trickle there, and eventually getting into a full river. Okay, there's Prairie Fork Trail, Cabin Flat Campground, Mine Gulch Trail, and Vincent Gap. Vincent Gap is where we started, way back there at the base of that mountain. Prairie Fork Trail, I've seen that on a map, I've never been to it, which means Vincent Gulch Campground is right here somewhere on the other side. Go check it out. Okay, the 3 rivers north of me now have all merged into this, forming the East Fork. There's supposed to be an old miners camp back here, Miners Gulch Camp. I see a clearing in the woods behind this hill. I'm going to climb up there and check it out. If not, I'll go downstream. I've got to go downstream anyway, approximately 15 miles to get to my car, so the real trek has begun now. Okay, it looks like people have been coming. Oh, there's somebody back here. I guess this is Miners Gulch Campground. That's pretty cool. Primitive campground. The guy and his son up there camping for the night. They said I was offered to let me stay there. They said they had enough stew to go around. But in order to get out of here in 3 days, I got a lot of ground to cover.